candidates who were not there yesterday apparently. Adarsh, just the roll call. Quickly, show your face. Adarsh. In case you are not in a library or somewhere. Yeah, okay. Adarsh, is it your first attempt on mains? Your mic, please, mic.
First attempt, sir.
Optional?
Sociology, sir.
Sociology, that's good. Okay. How is it going? How is it going?
अभी चालू किया है अभी चालू किया है सर.
Right. You can switch off your camera. Oh, Mr. Jayavant. Those of you who are in a library or somewhere from where they can't talk, they can indicate so in a message. But otherwise, I would like to have the attention of each one of you. And the minimum I expect is that you can show your faces to me. Mr. Jayavant. Prateek. Jayavant is in library. Okay, Prateek. Okay, Prateek, you also appear to be a new face. Switch on your mic. What is your optional?
Hello, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. What is your optional?
Sir, my optional is sociology.
Sociology.
Sir.
That's good. That's good. How many attempts have you given already?
Sir, this is my second attempt and first mains.
You have written mains earlier?
No, sir. This is my first mains, but second attempt.
Second attempt at first mains. Fine. Suraj?
Yes.
Suraj Devkate? Okay. Ganesh was there yesterday also. Sanket? Mr. Sanket?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's your specialization academically?
Sir, I'm a computer engineering graduate here.
Computer engineering graduate. Okay. How long back did you do your engineering? Which year?
Sir, I'm graduated in 2023.
Okay. What is the optional you are taking for this mains?
Sociology, sir.
Sociology. Lots of sociologists are here. Okay, that's great. Okay, switch off your camera, please. The others who could not respond for some reason or the other, I do believe that they are able to hear my voice, see my face. So, 7-8 of you are here. So, let me keep it very focused on the issues which I will be covering in the next 2-3 sessions and issues which you are supposed to cater for yourself. See, General Studies 4, as you all know, it was introduced 12 years back in civil services. The syllabus remains exactly the same where it was in 2013 when it was first introduced. Before that, what used to happen was that ethical values, principles of ethics, ethical dilemmas, ethical behavior, whatever is today in the syllabus, they were taught formally at the training academies after into selection. Even now, even after the introduction of this paper, that part of training is still there. But it was felt that candidates who have now become officers and who have joined at Masuri Academy, Hyderabad Academy, Police Academy or wherever, their approaches, their attitudes, their personal life stories which would have shaped their ethical values, they were found to be on many occasions at odds with the requirements of civil services ethical values. So, Government of India through UPSC, they decided that at the mains stage we need to test not in the sense of an examination as such, less of an examination and more of a real evaluation of the ethical caliber of the individual candidate, so as to minimize the possibility of a mismatch which later used to occur at the academies. You will be surprised to know that there is a significant number of discharges. You know what is a discharge? Discharge means discharge from service during probation. Once you are selected in any of these civil services, you are on probation for 2 years, and if your conduct is found unsatisfactory on any account, then the government reserves the right to discharge you from service without holding any departmental inquiry. Once you have completed your probation, then of course for dismissing or removing you from service, it is required to conduct a regular departmental inquiry unless and until it is not, Article 311 of Constitution is invoked and it is not found feasible for some reasons that inquiry is not, feasible to be conducted. That's a very, very exceptional situation. Somebody is absconding or somebody is involved in a really bad kind of criminal case and all that. What I'm trying to say here is that during the probation, the probationers, they were not yet officers of any service. They were walking at a razor's edge end. Whichever 2-3% out of a batch of, let us say, 120 officers, if 1 or 2, 3 were discharged, those discharges were almost always on account of grave violations of ethical conduct during the training. So obviously somebody has crossed all the hurdles and reached there, and then he is being discharged in this manner. That's a colossal waste of time, effort. Ethics as a question paper is not as much to test your theoretical or academic knowledge about the philosophy of ethics. Rather, it is to call out, elicit the internal, intrinsic values of yourself. So in that sense, this test, this paper GS4 is very close to your kind of a personality test. Why I'm telling you all this is that these thoughts, these ideas should frame, shape your preparation of this paper. Do not take it as a paper, do not take it as one of the papers which can be just cleared by doing some ratta. It's not like that. Your understanding about the ethical values along with their practical application in civil service and public service, that will be needed. That is supposed to be tested. That is why half of the paper, that is almost half of the paper is devoted to practical case studies. So with this backgrounder, let me share the manner in which I propose to cover today's session as well as coming 2 or 3 sessions depending on the interest displayed by the candidates here. Today it will be kind of an introductory session. I'll be dealing with what kind of basic issues are there in the syllabus and what types of questions are commonly asked in the last 12 years, have been asked in the last 12 years, and what should be your strategy for covering the syllabus. Then the second half of today's session, time permitting, I'll be dwelling upon answer writing in general in GS4 and especially for case studies. That is today's target in the next 40-45 minutes. And the next 2 sessions, because the syllabus is quite vast. There are so many. I'll be coming to that shortly. But I generally avoid going into the theoretical part of the syllabus conceptual part of the syllabus for which so many books, reading material, they are all available, and they are studied best either in a classroom format or maybe self-studied also. I will be handling and explaining those parts of the paper which are of practical relevance to civil services as such. I'll indicate them. Suraj complains that he is not able to hear. Are others able to hear or not? Please raise your hands or indicate. Abhijit can. Adarsh and Adarsh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
You are okay. So, Mr. Suraj, who complained about not hearing you, please check the connectivity issue at your end.
Or you reach.
Right, thank you. So, see, the syllabus of this paper, as you might have seen, analyzed yourself, that basically consists of 4 parts. Right. The first part is the theoretical concepts of ethics, which includes the dimensions, values, the determinants, and all that. As also, there are some books which are prescribing ethical tests, ethical dilemmas, and all that. Then from my perspective, I club the part of moral thinkers and philosophers also in that. Why I do so? Because these things are all bookish. If there can be any theoretical part, this is this. So theoretical concepts, dimensions, underlying concepts, they need to be studied by you because there are always 1 or maybe 2 direct questions which relate with the basic, which aim at testing your conceptual clarity about various definitions, various other such terms which are there in the syllabus. So even for answering those questions, suppose there is a theoretical question upon compassion, there is a theoretical question upon integrity. Now, please avoid writing some kind of crammed definition of the term. You explain that in 15-20 words, but you understand that in a simple language, and adorn, beautify your answer with everyday examples, because that is what they want to know. See, I said earlier, I again I'm telling it at this cost of repetition, that this paper is not meant to test your philosophical knowledge about ethics. It is to test your practical knowledge about application of ethics, and especially in the context of civil services. So the more examples you give to elucidate the concepts about which the question has been asked, the better will be the chances of your scoring highly. So what is being tested, that is what I always say, that what is being tested here is your own attitude and approach towards ethical issues in public life. So do not rely much on the rectification kind of situation here. 4 sections, as I was saying, that first section was this, which is purely in the sense academic and theoretical. Second portion is, which I would be covering, as I said that I will be covering 2 sections. The second section relates to foundational values and aptitudes, and also emotional intelligence part for civil services. Now again, this portion does not have much to do with theory. If at all, okay, the basic concepts about values, aptitude you have to know, but then this entire part is related with the application of how these foundational values are supposed to be developed. What are the various parameters which check that, okay, whether a particular civil servant has developed these values or not? How are these values to be applied in a given practical situation? So that should be, I think, the subject matter of the discussion in my next session. Then third distinct part of the this syllabus is values and ethics in public administration. Now that is, public administration actually is a very loose kind of term here. It may include, for example, ethics in international relations, issues of mobilization, this, that. So values and ethics beyond civil services. Now that is one part which I leave it to you because it is very vast. And most of the time in the past, I was having a look at the question papers of previous years. On many occasions, they are, asking questions on new dimensions of applications of ethics, and especially something which is coming up, which has come up in the current affairs recently, or in the year when the mains is taking place. So that ethical issue, which is actually in the limelight, in the news, it may not be strictly covered in your syllabus, or maybe any of the books or reading materials may not have talked about them, but there have been questions on that. So that's the third part. And fourth part again, which I would like to at least maybe one session or maybe two sessions also, because that is relatively vast and lots of legal and procedural frameworks are to be understood. That is probity in governance. Probity in governance, anti-corruption and all that. So that is something which I would like to, with my experience in enforcement also, I would like to underline and communicate to you some kind of practical approaches towards probity in governance. Now, as I earlier also said, that types of questions, first of all, the basic issues in ethics, there will be direct questions related to key terms. I also said that for elucidating these basic concepts, you need to give suitable examples and illustrations. And there will be at least one question minimum is there on thinkers, moral thinkers. Again, it's not like that, okay, Gandhi, Tagore, this, that, these 5 thinkers are there. The field is unlimited. Both Indian as well as foreign thinkers, their questions the questions based on their philosophies, their approaches towards ethics have figured in the previous year's papers. So you please make your own kind of selection, that which thinkers and which, but whatever you do, whatever you study in respect of each thinker, be sure of these 2-3 things. One is that clarity about, your ideas should match with what the gentleman has already said. Sometimes it happens that you try to explain that, okay, this is what, let us say, Gandhi said, but then willy-nilly you're introducing your own ideas or ideas which you might have read elsewhere. So make sure that when you are talking about a particular thinker, then your own ideas should not creep in your answer. They should be authentically based upon the original works of that. Then quotations. Quotations are very, very important. As many direct quotations as you can, because quotations will be useful not only for the direct questions on moral thinkers themselves, but you can mention, you can drop in quotations in almost every part of every answer of this, even in case studies for that matter, wherever it is really relevant, or while explaining the questions, while explaining the basic concepts in the questions on conceptual clarity. So coming to the strategy part, there can be 5-6 different pointers here. One is, of course, what we did just now. You need to familiarize with yourself with the syllabus, especially those who are appearing for the first time in mains. It is something which you have never ever studied in your curriculum, whether you are an engineer or a PG a master in sociology or any other science or any other humanities subject. These concepts have not been formally taught to you. So most of these words will be new. For example, just to give an example, a very popular misconception that what is sympathy, what is empathy, sympathy and empathy, what is the difference between them? How is compassion different to both of them? What is integrity? How is integrity different with honesty? How is honesty different from probity? So all these words are new to you because you have never formally studied them in any curriculum. So familiarization yourself with these words, with the syllabus as such, is very, very essential. Second is that also we have done. Second thing, that you analyze the structure. As I said, that broadly there are four different compartments. Most of them, 70, except for the first one, which I said that theoretical dimensions. Except for that, the other three parts are highly practical, application oriented. How ethics is to be practically applied in the day-to-day civil services work. Identify the key topics also. Because as I said, that there are so many books available, so much of reading material has been pushed in during the last decade, that it becomes really confusing for a typical candidate कि मैं क्या पढूं और क्या छोड़ूं. So please identify the key topics which have been recurring in the, because ultimately after सारी बातें अपनी जगह हैं कि you have to, your ethical values are being tested and all that, but the whole idea is to score as much as possible out of these the total number of marks. So, and of course, talking about marks, as I said in my yesterday's session also, that to my mind, essay and ethics, these are the two papers which not only decide the call to interview, but also shape the final rank. So that is why identifying key topics, doing your preparation with the narrow focus of scoring as many marks as possible. There's nothing bad in that. There's no ethics violated in this. After all, the question papers of, let's say, 250 or whatever marks are there. So you need to score as highly as possible. That you can do only when you see the patterns, how the questions have been coming up, what topics are being repeated, what topics are carrying higher number of questions, what topics are being handled for analytical questions, what topics are there for conceptual clarity questions. So that can be done by going through the previous year question papers, and also that will help in narrowing down your efforts. Otherwise, जैसे मैंने कहा कि there are dozens of books available, so you will get bogged down unnecessarily, wasting your time and energy in the limited time which is at your disposal. Conceptual clarity and moral thinkers we have talked about, and real life examples. Again, I earlier mentioned also that in every answer, your strategy should be to introduce one or the other example from your real life. Real life in the sense that it may not be necessarily your personal life. It should be, any given situation, whether that is of governance structures, social relations, educational sector, health, wherever. And you will find you come across this, and you should keep on thinking. When you are, just now I talked about those 3-4 concepts: empathy, sympathy, compassion, integrity, probity. You always must keep on thinking that probity की मेरी understanding ये है, वहाँ पर इस तरह से हुआ था. So then, if you are aware of that example, then while writing you can devote 20-25 words to illustrate probity with the help of that example. And finally, your strategy must, this also I mentioned briefly earlier, your strategy must take into account ethical issues which are coming up in the news or in the current affairs, especially in the past 1 year. Because you yourselves have a look at the previous year question papers. At least one question is there almost every year which relates to something which has happened in the previous year and has given rise to some kind of ethical dilemmas at a national level, international level. Now, coming to answer writing techniques, of course, are common to all GS papers 1, 2, 3, and 4, because there is a strict word limit. You have to follow that word limit. There is absolutely no benefit, rather you will be facing loss in terms of marks if you cross that word limit. 150 words means, as I said yesterday also, 150 words means 145 words. 250 words means 240 words. Not a word beyond your, that given limit. Time management of the question. I'm not talking of time management of your daily routine while we are in the next 2 months when you are preparing for the exam. Time management for the writing the question. You have your own, every one of us has got a different technique for that, but normally you should have a marks to minutes ratio. Marks to minutes ratio. What it basically means is that you divide marks by total amount of time available to you. Keep 15 minutes for revision, 10 minutes for revision. Let us say 180 minus 3, 10 minutes, 170, 165 minutes divided by, and see that how much time you can devote for each mark. So that will come out, okay, 10 marks question, this much time. 15 marks question, this much time. This is not theoretical, this is very practical suggestion, because what happens that it is not as if you are devoting time in writing, you are thinking also. So thinking unnecessarily, formulating sentences for a question of 10 marks or 15 marks, and then going to the next question and finding less time for that, although your own domain knowledge may be better for that second question, that is something which should not be done. Selection of questions, the order of the priority order of your answers, that also matters a lot. So these are the basic techniques of time management which is of crucial importance for this. Of course, review the PYQs and the answer writing में जो एक बात बड़ी important और आती है कि what is the structure of your answer. Again, it is case studies I'll presently talk about, but for the other section 1 of the paper, which are related with theoretical concepts and other values and foundation values and all that, so their structure of the answers should be quite similar to what you will be doing for GS 1, 2 and 3. Right? That brief 15-20 words introduction, then how do you develop that, flow charts, diagrams, some graphics, then bulleted point. And I'm not repeating the points which I mentioned yesterday, that how to make your presentation highly catchy, in the sense that it gets the attention of the examiner very quickly and tries and that presentation is able to communicate in a very succinct manner what exactly you have in mind. Otherwise, आपके पास जानकारी बहुत भी हो, but if you are not able to convert that knowledge into 150 words for that answer in an effective way, that will not serve the desired purpose. So both content and form, they are important. Content means whatever you are writing. Form means the way you are presenting. You have to take care of both these aspects. Not only in GS4, but this part of my suggestion is equally true for other GS papers. Now, before I go to case studies, I would like to hear from you at this stage if there are any queries or questions or any suggestions, any observations. Mr. Sanket, can you hear me? That is actually very disappointing. Yeah, Sanket, come on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you make any observation to whatever I have said so far?
Yes, sir. I have tried to write answer, but I have major issue in code-based question.
Okay.
So how to start with and how to explore the question score.
Yeah, keep on doing that. Yeah. So let me have one more view from, let us say, Abhilash. Abhilash, if you are there, Abhilash Jaswal. Abhilash, can you hear me? Anybody else then? Hi, Abhilash, can you react? Can you share your ideas or whatever if you are in a position to talk? I hope you are not in a library or somewhere. Okay, anybody else, please? Network issue उनका आ रहा है audio में. Anybody else? Because I want to have at least 2 reactions to make the session more participative in character. Abhijit, Mr. Abhijit. I forgot who all are in the library.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Prateek. Yes, please.
Sir, this is my first attempt. Sometimes I get stuck while writing answers. So I don't figure out how to proceed with. I get sometimes mental block while writing answers. And sometimes I fail to deconstruct what the question is. What is the demand of question sometimes?
So first of all, Prateek, have full confidence in your capability. Don't lose heart. Whatever you are feeling is being felt right now by 95% of the 10,000 candidates who are going to write mains. The only thing is that, as I said, believe in your capabilities and be thorough. Read. If you are any question, if you are not able to get the crux, you read it 3 times, 4 times. Then close your eyes and think over it. What exactly is the examiner? What is the exact area? And this is a very general comment, not only for GS4. What is in the examiner's mind? What area of knowledge he is trying to hit? So, and then recall not only facts but whatever analysis, whatever critical views you have read. Somebody out of the blue talks about, let us say, this role of governor. Now, it has been in the news, or somebody talks about this delimitation in a question. Now, first of all, close your eyes and think about the issue of delimitation. Where have you read it? Which article? What are the modalities? Delimitation Commission, last time when it happened, what are the issues now? Federalism, how they are reacting to it. So your mind should be able to fan across several dimensions for the next 60 seconds, 120 seconds after reading the question. And once you do that, you will find that the ideas are automatically coming into your head. It happens. Just jot down. You have got, let us say, 7 to 8 minutes for writing those 150 words. You jot down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points and then start formulating your answer. Practice makes a man or a woman, for that matter, perfect. There is no shortcuts at all. You need to practice, practice and practice. Right? I hope I have been able to remove some of your anxieties, Prateek.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right. So, coming to the second part, next 10-15 minutes, I will be very briefly touching upon case studies. Again, case studies are an area with which, first of all, you need to familiarize yourself. It's not a kind of unseen passage or a comprehension. It's a real life situation, and in I would say the majority of the cases, in 80-90% of the cases given in the question paper, they relate to something which has actually happened 1 year back, 2 years back, 3 years back. It has happened in the country or abroad, or maybe some kind of case, some kind of scam or whatever has happened. So when you read that, first of all, think that yes, what happened in that case and what were the ramifications. So identifying the particular incident, identifying the particular news item or that particular incident about which that case study has been formulated, that will go a long way. Because if you have read about that incident earlier, then obviously whatever media has said, whatever action government has taken, that all will come back to your mind. So careful reading of the passage of the case study, that is obviously the first and foremost requirement. Then it becomes necessary to classify very quickly that what kind of basic issue is emerging from here in this case study. Whether there are some ethical dilemmas, do this, do that. There are case studies which are related to the work culture, which are rooted in the work culture of a department, and then adoption or rejection of a particular kind of work culture gives rise to several options, several courses of action. There are case studies which are primarily revolving around the emotional intelligence of the officer involved. And there are case studies which are straight away related to probity, issues of corruption and embezzlement and all that. So you have to classify, because case study का मतलब ये नहीं है कि एक ही चीज, they can be in different kinds of situations, different kinds of scenarios, which are obviously going to give rise to different ethical dilemmas, different streams of ethical dilemmas. Next step, and see, मैं इस तरह से बात कर रहा हूँ तो looks like it is going to take half an hour for one case study even for understanding it. But it's not like that. The more you practice, you will be able to complete this exercise within minutes. The next step, obviously, side by side as you are reading, you can do it while reading also. Identify the key actors and key stakeholders of that situation, and you may name them also, like if district magistrate or whatsoever which is there. Don't use the names are generally not given, but district magistrate, or engineer, executive engineer, or whatever, you can use the designation. Underline that. Okay, he is a key player in that entire story. Next step, obviously, that having classified the event mentioned in the case study, you come to the crux that what exactly is a legal or ethical dilemma which the person is facing. This is the stage when you apply your theoretical concepts. Whatever theoretical dimensions you have learned, which one of them can be imported and utilized for formulating the solutions. Solutions, as I said, they cannot be restricted to one or two or three. Sometimes there are three solutions, four solutions. Then you mention very, very briefly 1, 2, 3, 4 the options, and then comes your own view that from my perspective, this is the best option, supported by reasons. In between doing all this, sometimes which the candidates miss, and which is very, very important. I would like all of you to make a special note of that. The case studies questions contain sometimes 4 parts, 5 parts. While evaluating answers for YTF itself, I have seen that by negligence or by in hurry, candidates altogether leave maybe 1 or even 2 parts. So make sure that, and don't club them also, because each part will be, you must have seen the PYQs also, each part is addressing or touching upon some different aspects. So your answers should obviously be ideally according to the parts, right? So address each part of the question carefully and clearly, and make sure that they are not ignored while writing your answers. Be solution oriented, conclude with the most ethical solution, but, and here is the biggest but here, that do not go for something which is purely fantastic, right, or absolutely philosophical in nature, which is impractical. There will always be, out of these 3, 4 solutions, one will be totally impractical or totally abstract. Don't go by that. And then when you choose a practical course of action, in case there are some limitations or there are future snags or bottlenecks, feel free to highlight them also. That will convey the impression to the examiner, the word which I used yesterday also, that will convey the impression that yes, the candidate has taken a 360 degrees view. You have taken a comprehensive view. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is too abstract. 4th, of course, is useless. 2nd is there. Between 2nd and 3rd option, I take 2nd because this is justified in this manner. And of course, there are these limitations, but they can be time permitting, space permitting. You can even address those limitations. So each case study will be unique in itself. But in general, these are the ways and means to address case studies. Last point again, I will say, very important that avoid extreme options. Be practical. So that was almost all for my today's session. And about the case studies, There are some books, there are some sets of study materials which have defined what they call ethical tests. There are nothing like, identified ethical tests, but then yes, there are some standards set by depending on the ethical dimension involved. So if you can utilize them for reaching the optimum solution, then you can mention that. But please, do not use something which is not in a standard format. And here again, case studies on a need basis, whenever you feel right, you are free to quote, cite a quotation from some moral thinker also to justify your own views. So, writing of answer case study once again, role of public servant. If it is needed to be discussed, many questions they will start with this part itself. This is a separate first part itself. Okay, what are the options available before him? So you just discuss the options 1, 2, 3, 4 choices. Then in 1 or 2 very brief sentences, frame the ethical dilemma, the ethical instruments or ethical tests which are available. Then what are the different ramifications of each choice, each option? And finally, as philosophical teachings, thoughts, if required, you can put in solution which emerges finally with limitations, if any. So these are the key steps of answer writing in ethical in case studies. So that is all from my side in today's session. Next session will be communicated by Dr. Vikram on the YTF WhatsApp group. I propose to, as I said, maybe 2 or 3 sessions I will be taking on the topics of foundational values and aptitude, emotional intelligence, as well as probity and corruption. So again, at least 2 of you I would like to hear about what exactly has been their takeaway from this session. Those who are not in library, because I'm not aware that who is in the library and who is not. So you can raise your hands, open your mic and start speaking. Any of you. Because, the fun is that unless there's Pratik, yes, come on.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, yes, please.
First of all, you gave us a brief idea about ethics. Then you discussed about strategy, like how to prioritize recurring topics, then narrowing down efforts. Then you told about the ethical dilemmas while dealing with situations. Then you talked about time management, how to review PYQs. Then you also focused on while writing answers, your goal should be quality as well as quantity. This means like you should write down answers in given a limit. Then you talked about case studies, like what should be the practical approach, or how should we strike balance between idealistic approach as well as realistic approach.
Right. Very nicely summarized. Thank you so much, Pratik.
Yeah,
thank you. And just one more comment, if anybody is willing to switch on their mic and share their thoughts. We have to make it, Abhijit and Sanket, let Abhijit say. Abhijit, come on.
Okay, I agree with Pratik, whatever Pratik has said, and I just want to add to what Pratik has said, that if it is possible in future sessions, can we take some case studies, just 1 or 2, maybe briefly. You just we can discuss how to break down it, the steps, and because
yes.
In 2024, my last mains, there was some tribal case study was there. And it was very difficult in the exam hall to break it down, because all the case studies we had discussed earlier, even I had read in my notes, it was completely out of box, you can say. Yeah. So it was very difficult. So if it is possible, we can discuss 1 or 2 in future sessions.
Yeah, I got your idea, Abhijit, and that is a very fantastic suggestion. Suraj, will come to you. Abhijit, what we can do perhaps is that in one of these sessions, again, we'll have to schedule it. One case study, or maybe two of them, they can be shared on the WhatsApp group, maybe 1 hour before the session is to start. And then all of us, I will come with, because it has to be a very lively and participative discussion then. All of us can, by turn, apply all these steps that, okay, what are the dilemmas, what are the options available, which is the best option and all that. So that can be surely done, and we can perhaps do 2 case studies in 1 hour. So maybe we'll schedule it in the coming week, the next 3-4 days after I complete these 2 sessions. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So, Sanket, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. I also have a concern regarding the case study, like the case studies involving the political character, like minister involvement, infrastructure project, and pressure on the civil servant to complete in time. So how to handle that pressure and do honestly duty, just like that case study.
In one brief sentence, let me summarize this, that the approach to deal any ethical dilemma passes through the prism of legality, procedural correctness, and welfare and benefit of the maximum number of people. Legality is the first test. Whatever you have to do, whichever option you select, that by necessity has not to be illegal or irregular in any manner. Whether that is undue application of force in a riot situation, or whether that is somebody whom you feel that, okay, he should be awarded a tender and who is not fulfilling the tender conditions, one of them, and then you say that, okay, I'm not doing anything wrong, he deserves it. I mean, whichever way. So legality, following legality and procedural aspects is the first thing. No ethical value can ever direct you to violate the law or established procedure. Right? That's the first thing. Second thing is that while following that framework of law and procedure, you need to be cognizant of the greater good. Greater good means there are 100 persons. Your action is not going to satisfy all 100 people. But then, is it satisfying 90 people? If there is there's an option which satisfies 90 people and another option which satisfies 75 people, obviously we'll go by 90 people. Greater good for the greatest number of people. And then last is that in case there is any, you use the word pressure, political pressure, media pressure, colleagues pressure, seniors pressure, if they are impinging in any manner, prompting you to avoid or bypass the legal procedural requirements, then that pressure is something which itself becomes illegal and irregular. Sometimes the questions come like that, okay, your boss is a proper course of action is this, you have to give the tender to the lowest bidder, and your boss says, no, isme aisi koi baat nahi hai, the second one is better, I know him personally, so you award tender to them. What are you supposed to do? One of the options, which is very tricky, is that, okay, following the law and procedure, you will give the tender to L1. But one part of the question would be that, what are you going to do about the illegal request of the boss? Are you going to report it to your minister? Are you going to release it to the press? Are you going to put it on social media? Now, these things are where your actual ethical mettle is. What is the correct option here? You are not, your boss has put pressure on you. You are not supposed to call for a press conference and tell everybody that, okay, my boss has said like that. Or you are not supposed to share that in an informal or formal WhatsApp group of your office on social media. Depending on the gravity of the pressure which has been applied on you, you can always, you retain the option of lodging a formal complaint in writing to the concerned authority. But that again, as I said, depending on the gravity and how far. Okay, if somebody says that, okay, you do this, fine. You say, I won't do this because this is not legal, you take your action. But if somebody says, you do this, otherwise I will hurt your interests. Your boss says like that. Or the local member of parliament says like that. In this situation, you are not only, as per law, you are not only have, you not only have to follow the correct option which is there legally or procedurally, but because the person has threatened you, added to, as I said, gravity of the situation, then you are supposed to bring it on record and lodge a formal complaint. Of course, not the press conference and social media, because they will be, sometimes they give this as an option. So there are techniques of handling pressure. The only thing is that you need to be sure that what is the legally and procedurally correct option, what I'm supposed to do. And yes, sometimes following as I said, sometimes going strictly by the law or strictly by the procedure may result in more harm than good. Now that again is very situation specific. You cannot just not take any action or keep avoiding taking any action because a particular law says that, okay, you for next 48 hours you observe. When you see that, okay, there is a situation of flooding and there are periodical checks to be conducted on we call in Punjab that Dhusi Bandh, the embankments of the rivers. You are there periodicity is for, let's say, 48 hours. But you get the information that the breach is likely to take place tonight. Then strictly following your logbook of inspections, okay, your next visit is not due before the next 48 hours. But ethics comes in, which should prompt you to forget that, okay, I have checked this embankment only 12 hours back. Let me go again because I have received information that it can be breached anytime. So keeping yourself confined to legal framework, if it results in adverse action, adverse results or results in harm, obviously that is violating ethics. So more than political pressure or pressure of any other kind from your superiors, I always feel that the real tussle is between your ethical values and the legal procedural requirements. The real tussle is not between ethical values and pressures imposed on you by your seniors and politicians. The real issue is the struggle between the conflict between the ethical values and your what I call this legal procedural framework. I hope you are, Sanket, I'm clear about this point.
Yes, sir. I got an idea about how to handle this.
And before I close the session, let me say the same thing I said yesterday also, that you can, Dr. Vikram will share further details. I am open to receiving your written answers for checking, not only for GS4 but for other papers also. GS4 especially because we are talking here of GS4 and answer writing requires a little bit of more nuanced and skilled kind of approach in this paper. So you keep on whichever, whether you are attending this session or not attending, you can always share your answers with me so that I can give my views that whether the approach you are following is correct or needs some improvement. So I think Dr. Vikram, if you are there, it's 7:55 and we can close it here. Dr. Vikram? Dr. Vikram is also gone offline. So all right, friends, thank you so much. And I'll be scheduling. Earlier I had some plans to go out, but then maybe in the coming 3-4 days I will schedule the next session and you will be informed through the YTF group about that. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Wish you all the very best.